seek out new life and new civilization. To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of The Landing Party. I'm your Captain Graham Nolan, and it's Captain's Log time, stardate 2407.31. The Squire of Gothos, written by Paul Schneider, who you will remember wrote one of the best first season episodes, Balance of Terror, directed by Don McDougall. You can almost hear them yelling, "Schneider's late!" This is a reoccurring theme with the writers of Star Trek during its first season. DC Fontana recalls the excuse that Schneider gave was on his way to deliver the script, his tire blew out. And upon changing it, the tire got away and rolled down the hill with him giving chase. In other words, the dog ate his homework. And this was something that they had to deal with quite a bit in that first season. He later admitted that he was having trouble coming up with a climax for this for his story. So we ended up swiping the climax to The Most Dangerous Game, the Richard Connell story in which a big game hunter who is bored trekking conventional prey decides to go after humans. Trelane, a powerful alien creature, has been watching the goings-on at Earth, albeit in the past because of the distance it takes light to travel. He's fascinated by humans' predatory nature when the Enterprise enters the space around the planet he created called Gothos. It turns out Trelane is actually a child, a spoiled one at that. Trelane is played by William Campbell. They originally wanted Roddy McDowall for the role, but after reading a few lines of dialogue in front of McDougall and casting director Joe, how do you pronounce this? DeAugusta, I think. He nailed the part. Vanita Ross makes her acting debut in this episode. Here is Yeoman Teresa Ross. Another part that was originally written for Janice Rand, but Grace Lee Whitney had been let go just 2 weeks prior. And again, her name and her character keeps cropping up in these early episodes because they hadn't gotten the memo that that character is no longer around. Ross was a former model and the cover girl for the July 1967 issue of Playboy magazine. Michael Barrier makes his first of 3 appearances as Lieutenant DeSalle. This is one of Aaron's favorite guys. I guess he has a first name. It's Vincent DeSalle, as is indicated in the scripts, but I can't ever remember them saying his name in an episode. Other bits of trivia: the voices of Trelane's parents are none other than James Doohan, Mr. Scott, and Barbara Babcock, who did some other voice over in Star Trek, but also we would later see her in person in A Taste of Armageddon and Plato's Stepchildren. So that's your Captain's Log for tonight, my friends. Let's introduce the landing party. Here we first have Mr. Aaron of Talos 4.
That's right. Big DeSalle fan. Glad to see him showing up finally. He's like Riley to me. Is like, why didn't they use this guy more? He's he's tough. He's on edge. No nonsense all the time. I love the guy. I love the character. So
see, while you guys were out last week, I had the same feeling for Yeoman Barrows. Because I thought Emily Banks was so amazing in that role. She was beautiful. She was interesting. I wanted to see her in more stuff.
Such as the way of Star Trek.
It wasn't meant to be.
No.
And we have Anna, that Star Trek girl whose mic is muted, so she might be away. Oh, there she is. She came back in time. And back from San Diego Comic-Con, flirting with big Hollywood stars, we have Mr. Ron Garney.
I woulda. I woulda. I woulda.
Yeah, it's funny how he has this kind of effete accent through the whole thing, and at the end, he's like this little kid from Brooklyn. I would have won. I would.
I woulda.
Ron, why didn't you come by my booth and say hi at San Diego?
Why didn't you come by mine?
You didn't have a booth.
You're right.
I was by Boom
I should have
twice.
told you I did, and would have had fun watching you walk around looking for it.
No, I went by Boom twice, and you weren't there, so you know.
Yeah, I only had a couple signings there, and then we did the panel.
Have you guys ever met in person?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Me and Aaron?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And there's pictures.
Oh.
You got to go on the dark web to see them, but they're there.
Oh, no.
Dark web. Where Dark Brandon resides. Stupidest thing ever, Dark Brandon.
Dark Brandon, yeah. Well, there's a lot of
So
stupid stuff in
idiotic. Anyway.
that. So you missed a good one last week. We did Shore Leave. My favorite girl in the whole series, Emily Banks, Yeoman Barrow was in that one.
Yeah, she was beautiful.
She was beautiful. She was great as a character.
It's hard for me to wrap my head around that she'd be that into Dr. McCoy, though. I hate to
Yeah,
say
I know. I was
no offense to Dr. McCoy, but it
a little
just
hot for McCoy, you know.
Yeah.
He was a gentleman.
But what about Ruth? Ruth, how can it possibly be?
But conversely, I found her
unattractive.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Old.
Something about her. Just
Anna and I were talking about that. It's like in the episodes where Kirk actually shows his love for somebody, like this one, and the one
android,
the Requiem for Methuselah. They're dogs. I mean,
they're dogs.
These are
I feel like Ruth, or was it Helen? No, it was Ruth.
It was Ruth.
I felt like she was less than the girl from Requiem for Methuselah. Well,
yeah,
I don't know. There's just something about her.
I'll get a couple pictures. We can compare these ladies.
I feel like in that case, Shatner was the catch out of the two of them. You know.
Well, he should have stuck with Helen Noel. That's what if I was Kirk, I would have stuck with Helen Noel. That would have been for me.
Yeah, he wants
What'd
to
you
be
think
more
of Dr.
attractive
Marcus?
person in the relationship.
Who? Ron?
Kirk.
Dr. Marcus.
Oh, Carol Marcus from the movie.
Yeah.
For an older broad, yeah, she was attractive.
But in the for an older broad. But well, when she was younger, when they had the kid, she was probably
yeah.
But she was also played by what's her name
the
in the
English
movie?
girl.
Yeah. That was good casting. I could see that she would look like the same person.
Are you talking about the new ones, the J.J. Abrams one? Okay, that
Eve
girl.
That was Carol Marcus.
Yeah, she was. She was good looking. That Carol Marcus is all right with me.
Speaking of having babies, look at Anna.
I know my cat now.
Anna is very, very ready to give babies.
I'm only halfway through right now.
I know.
I liked your little cartoon that you posted.
What cartoon? Oh,
yeah, it's a mother laying on her belly with these like wide eyes, and the baby's doing exercises in her belly. Just kicking things
every night. I can finally feel it move. It feels like pop rocks in my stomach. And during the day, there's nothing. But whenever I go to lay down, I can't sleep. It's non-stop. So Pete just had to go to the pharmacy and get me some sleep aids. So I was able to sleep last night.
Okay to take that stuff when you're pregnant.
The pharmacist said that the one that he gave him was good for prego women that have to deal with crazy children at night. All right, I got the ladies side by side.
All right, here we go. Let's see.
Yeah, see.
Well, you know what?
I'm
going with Ruth just because I hate chokers. I hate high neck things on women.
I hate robots. So I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
Well, Ruth was a robot,
You
though,
would be,
too, wasn't
you would
she?
be fooling
I guess she
around.
was
Yeah,
technically.
both these women were robots in the episode.
I think they were going to have an episode with the robot chick here where she falls in love with the Lost in Space robot instead of
The
Kirk.
thing about Ruth is that, Kirk says, you haven't changed in 15 years or something like that, right? Well, geez, I mean, Kirk was just a cadet and he was with this MILF here.
Yeah, I don't know if it's, she just looks like she got stung by bees or something.
Yeah, she just has that kind of puffy face, but I'm kind of with Graham here. I might go with Ruth. If I had to choose between these two, might go
Well,
with
and she, you know what?
Ruth.
I agree with that. Well, she seems more real, where the other girl does seem robotic. Just her whole look.
She's a little wall-eyed too, if you look.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Her costume was terrible. She didn't.
That was a suck episode. I didn't like that episode at all.
Yeah,
there were a few. How about the one from the Cloudminders?
Oh, I didn't like that one.
You know, she looked like a freaking antelope, a human antelope.
Yeah, the one that fell in love with Spock.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Her neck is like, she's
like all long.
Yeah, she's everything is elongated on that girl.
Yeah.
But how is it she can have her belly button out, but Barbara Eden couldn't?
Well, because Barbara Eden
maybe Barbara
Eden
more sexy.
Yeah.
They had to sexy up that girl with the long neck. Barbara Eden, if she had her navel out, the whole TV would melt. Barbara Eden is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, she was.
Back in the day, she was beautiful. Yeah.
Well, and it was timeless. I mean, it just stood the test of time. You know, even now she would rank right up there.
You know who my gal was from that era was Elizabeth Montgomery.
Yeah, I liked her too.
Yeah, she had that girl next door, but sort of a little mischievous.
It's so great watching the very, very early episodes.
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, out of these three girls, those for this one.
That one.
No, I'm still going with Ruth.
I'm going with that one.
You're going with her?
Yeah.
With the neck?
Well, yeah, I can get past that.
With her hair draped around her neck, you probably wouldn't notice.
She can dress differently.
Look at that abdomen, man.
She's got that nice
smoking abdomen.
Yeah, her abs look
too
good.
Skinny, man.
She's thin.
You can fat her up.
My wife is very thin, so be careful there.
Well, no, I'm just saying for me. It's
I'm joking. I'm joking.
So Aaron's going with that one too, then. Not Aaron. Ron.
Yeah, he's going with the skinny one. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably. Something about chipmunk cheeks there is just turning me off.
And plus, that hairdo doesn't do her any justice either.
Well, okay. Look, I would pick any of these, but if you're making me choose between one of the three, I got to go. I'm going to go with Ruth.
We are.
I'm going to go with Ruth.
We are.
I can't believe, Ruth, that it's you. It can't possibly be you.
Yeah, it can't be.
There she is.
Yeah, I'll find the girl that plays Ruth without that hairdo.
Now pull up Yeoman Barrows.
Yeah, can you find Anna, find a picture of the Ruth actress in other pictures. Let's see if she looks different.
Oh, that's actually a good.
That's a good idea.
No, she looks like when she's in Marcus Welby or something.
Honestly, she almost looks like somebody who worked at the Paramount Studios in accounting or something that they just brought in.
They just needed a girl, so they
then they didn't have to pay her much. So yeah,
she's in accounting and she brought her own earrings.
Yeah. those freaking those musical triangles that you clang.
Yeah. Oh, Anthony Mark in the chat says that Louise Sorrell, who played Raina, was a lovely woman. She was 29 at the time.
Yeah, she's not unattractive. It's just that she just feels. Oh my God! Stop.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's ridiculous.
I think that's fake, but I still like
her. You know who else was remind me of her a little bit was Lee Merriweather. I liked her.
Yeah.
Oh, Lee Merriweather. I saw Lee Merriweather at a convention at San Diego Comic-Con. He was at the time 78, 79 years old. And when she smiled, that woman was gorgeous.
Oh yeah, beautiful. I've seen her in person too.
Yeah. I
Who
mean,
else I
when
saw in
she's
person
sitting
was
there, she looks older, but when she smiles, oh my God, she drops, 20, 30 years off her face.
Aaron Gray was like that.
Oh yeah, she's
Actually,
beautiful.
Aaron Gray. That's when I first met. Actually, Aaron Lepresti was at a show and she was there. We were having breakfast and she walked in. You and I. What happened to Anna?
I don't know.
Anna and the King of Siam. What happened to you?
She pushed the wrong button. She'll be back.
These pregnant women.
I know. You can't trust them.
So what are you guys' thoughts on this episode?
No, wait a second. Ron, finish your story because I'm trying to remember this.
You and I had, I don't remember where it was. It Toronto or somewhere?
Yeah, it was Toronto.
Yeah, we were having breakfast together.
Yeah, yeah.
And she walked in. I don't know if you noticed her, but she walked in.
Yeah, I do. I remember that because you were like, I had to pick your jaw up.
Yeah.
Yeah, for her age, I thought she looked great.
Well, yeah, I talked to her many times at shows. And in fact, Shelly and I sat next to her at a Portland show, and her and Shelly were just chatting away the whole show. So she was really very friendly, nice.
Yeah.
I've heard she's very, very nice lady.
Yeah.
Aaron Gray from Buck Rogers.
What are you drinking?
Kool-Aid
Oh.
with electrolytes.
Oh, okay.
It's so fun.
You're getting potassium and sodium in there.
Mhm.
So what's your thoughts on this show?
Yeah. This particular episode, I mean, I thought it was, it's an entertaining show, has some interesting concepts and stuff. It suffers from the budget, the castle that we see him in and all this. We get to see the salt vampire a second time.
Yeah, that was
as a museum piece.
Yeah, exactly. Which I thought was kind of cool when I watched it as a kid.
Now that was supposedly, I guess there was talk that Trelane was a Q or something.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit. Because Peter David, the comic book writer, wrote a bunch of Star Trek Next Generation books. And one of them was about Q. I think it was called Q. I don't remember the name of the book.
QRST, I think it was called.
But anyway, he indicates that Trelane was part of the collective, the Q continuum.
Well, it would make sense. I mean, his abilities were ridiculous. I did like the idea of. I always loved those stories, which were sort of Twilight Zone-y. Like, remember Billy Mooney in that Twilight Zone episode where he had all these powers and stuff.
Oh, when he sends people to the cornfield?
Cornfield. It was like that. He just had this power that, unchecked as a child would, is basically what
Turn into a psychopath.
Yeah, basically. And that's what Trelane was. Didn't understand didn't have the maturity to understand not to manipulate life or things around him the same way the kid did, Billy Mooney did.
Well, if Trelane is a Q, then because he's got like godlike powers, right? He can create worlds. What does that make the Metrons? Which we're going to see next week when we review Arena.
Yeah.
And later on, when we get to the Organians.
Yeah,
the Organians were able to stop all violence in the universe between the Federation and the Klingons.
I read a rating once about who was the most powerful of all of them, and it was the Metrons didn't come in first. The Organians came in as the most evolved.
Had to be.
Because they evolved past the need for physical bodies, obviously, but also because they were just so about, even when he said, the very presence of them is distasteful to them.
Right.
Like tendencies and stuff. And I kind of agree with that. I would think the Organians would be the top of the food chain there. I don't know that everybody is a Q.
All weapons in their Federation and all the way back to the home planets. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, didn't you kind of feel like Star Trek did kind of what we saw in like the Marvel universe, where they would create like a character like Galactus, and then they would create somebody like the Beyonder, and it was like you have these more and more powerful beings, and you're like, well, how hard to you're like till you're actually God. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
Well, if you look at the universe anyway, I mean, there's nothing, everything is so relative to each other. You know what I mean? Because like Earth is seems like a big planet, but then when you compare it to to like Canis Majoris, for instance,
Right.
We're just a speck
Right.
of dust basically next to that, and all these power levels coming from beings throughout the universe might be the same thing. It might just be, it just never ends. Like in the Marvel universe, is Galactus as powerful as a Celestial? I think he was less powerful than a Celestial, correct? So I just think and then there's eternity, and then there's there's always just these different levels to it. And I don't know that I love the idea of the parents, talking, scolding their, so it's relative. They're like a family, but there's this godlike family and he's still playing with toys, like, so I like that whole story, that whole idea, because it's relative to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
You can find that everywhere in the universe. So, I mean, who knows? Like maybe the universe turns inside out and the quantum world, which seems small to us, becomes large, and our universe is small if it folds. I mean, there's so many crazy ideas.
The concept of size and space is really all relative.
Yeah, it is.
Power,
because if Canis Majoris isn't even the biggest, and there's one, the largest one we know of that we've measured is like 256 trillion light years across. Or million light years across. Think of how big that is. And mm-hmm. Canis Majoris is tiny compared to that. Right. And Canis Majoris is like, I mean, it's just crazy how it never ends. It just right down.
Have you guys ever seen that video? I think it's on YouTube. And it starts with a camera shot of a girl laying on the grass looking up at the sky, and you go from her perspective as she goes up, so she gets smaller and smaller, and then you start to see the clouds, and then
I've seen it,
and then it goes all the way out into the universe, and then you see the vastness of the universe from.
That's kind of my reason I don't know if I necessarily believe there's aliens visiting here, because it's just. Right. We're so small that we are, even our strongest radio signals don't reach that far. Mm-hmm. I mean, we think, we've gone into space, but when you put it in perspective like that, we've gone into space from here.
Oh yeah.
Like, let's say space is the size of my house. We've gone from here to here.
But when the camera goes the other way, it brings it all the way back in. You go past all those planets, you see the girl, and then it goes into her eye. Yeah. And then it goes inside her. And then it's like, it reminds me of that Fantastic Four story, World Within Worlds, where the surfer trying to get away from Galactus gets smaller and becomes free again, because now he has this entire universe to explore. Right. I mean, it's that kind of concept. It's you just get smaller and smaller. And or you go out and it's
and theoretically it just doesn't end. I mean, it only ends as far as we can measure it, and we've measured down to quark level, and quark level is this compared to an atom. An atom is the size of Canis Majoris to Earth. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how tiny. And then we have theoretical particles like tachyons, or and we have the Higgs boson and all that. But I mean, it's just. There's something going on that, I just don't, it's just like black holes and everything. I mean, it's just too whack in the way it sucks in all the information that, can't escape. It's information, and it gets locked in in that gravity well forever.
Right. The event horizon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about that yesterday. I was thinking how our eyes do the same thing. We suck in light, and then we take in the information, and just forever it gets in here, and it never comes back out again.
But the thing that really shows us the hubris of humans, where we have no concept of size and of space and everything. We judge everything from a 6 foot level. from how we view the world, which is why in storytelling, the best way to tell a story is from the perspective of the human. It relates you and brings you into the story. When you bring the camera up and above and other angles, it has purposes, but it can take you out of the story because it's not your own view of the world.
Right. You're now watching something happen as opposed to being involved in it.
Exactly. And the hubris of us to think that we can change the environment on this planet and this universe with these tiny little things, it just drives me crazy. I'm going off the topic here a little bit because we're talking about,
but I mean, it lends itself to the discussion about Star Trek technology and warp speed and light speed and all that. I mean, honestly, the Enterprise didn't even scratch the surface in distance. Compared to the size of the universe, and it didn't actually visit some of these large planetary bodies and stuff. I think I just read something on here about we're saved from an alien invasion by the distances between galaxies. That's true. I've often thought that we're not meant to know, for whatever reason, that distance is so great where it's almost seems deliberate that we're not capable of getting to to Andromeda.
What's not the purpose of like black holes and wormholes? You go through the black hole. It's a wormhole to another galaxy.
Yeah, well, fold space-time, and you go punch a hole through it, and you go and you end up there.
Right.
The amount of energy it would take would require energy of 10,000 suns. It's feasible to do, but we don't have the capability or the resources on the planet to be able to do it because of the amount of energy it would take to do that. As far as I know, if I'm correct.
Think about the gravitational field in a black hole. It's so strong that light can't get past it.
Yeah.
I know.
Think about the gravity is so dense because it's all got
so dense that light can't get out.
Something this big. Yeah. Think about that. All that information compacted into something this size, which, the theory that's how the Big Bang started was that, it reversed itself and exploded back outward to another bubble. But I've often thought too, you look at the similarities between, the picture of the universe with the web of galaxies. They're all connected by the dark matter or something, and you can see it. It looks like it's all connected the same way it looks like brain. The brain.
Like synapses.
Yeah, are all connected. Yeah. That's fascinating to think about that kind of thing.
Oh, it is.
Because I've thought, maybe galaxies, if quantum physics holds true in that there's different realities, right? Which is kind of being proven with the slit experiment and, Schrodinger's cat and things like that. Well, then I've thought, looking at the galaxies, maybe if there's different realities, maybe those are the different realities. That's why we're not allowed to get there. So Andromeda might just be this galaxy, but it's just a different version of this galaxy. And that's what they all are the possibilities and the different realities of each galaxy, that you could possibly experience. You know what I mean?
Well, we revolve around a sun, and the planets revolve around that sun in our solar system. And you have but that solar system is one of many within just this one galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. And then there's billions of galaxies out there.
And they all have a black hole in the center.
I mean, it's just mind blowing, the distance and spaces and sizes. When you think of, look at the Grand Canyon, look at how big it is. Look at our world, how big it is. Then you stick it next to Jupiter, and it's like a marble next to Jupiter, and Jupiter is like a marble next to our sun, and our sun is like a marble next to Betelgeuse. I mean,
what's crazy to me about the black hole thing is how it seems so deliberately placed in the center of galaxies. You know what I mean? And they're all spinning around it. And it almost seems like it's a deliberate attempt to suck reality away from non-reality. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like, because there's no such thing as non-existence.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Nothing can come from nothing.
Right.
It has to come from something.
Right. It seems like black holes are designed to reverse that process. Like for some reason, this universe, this happened, it exploded outward, and these things are happening, but it supposedly came from nothing.
Mhm.
So it's just not possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There
Well,
had to be.
I think the more we study that, the more it proves there's a God.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. I mean,
Has to
yeah.
be a designer. There has to be a
that
designer.
there's a great book that Chuck Dixon gave me to read one time called Darwin's Black Box, and it was written by a microbiologist and who was not particularly a religious man, but what he was discovering working in microbiology is that the smaller you get, the more machine-like precision things have to work.
Do you ever
Yep.
see?
I've read the same book. Darwin's Doubt, isn't it? Or
No,
is
this
that-
one's Darwin's Black Box.
might be by the same guy though. It's
Could be.
Steve.
The footage of it was like it's like a little thing that's pulling. What is it doing? It's like pulling something along on it. It's a complete mechanical process where you see this foot coming over like this. And it's pulling.
Yes, on a subatomic level. This thing.
Yeah. You
I've
saw
seen
it,
that.
remember? And it's going like this, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, what the? How did that just happen? You know what I mean? Clearly it's a mechanical thing that is designed,
right?
So just like we build a car,
and you remove randomness from things, then you have to have design. And if there's a design, there has to be a designer.
Yeah, and that how is that something you can't attribute that to Darwinism? You can't attribute that to evolution. That's a mechanical process that is making something function. It didn't happen by accident.
Right.
I mean, it's just like a car doesn't build itself.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And it doesn't come from a boat.
There was
it doesn't evolve from a boat.
Yeah, I know. It's
there was a great Nike commercial, I think back in my CrossGen days. I remember seeing this, and it was kind of doing this evolutionary process. And then, for millions of years, and then this Nike shoe came out of it, right? And it sort of proved my point about there being a creator, is that there's no way that could ever happen. Even something as uncomplex as a basketball shoe could never evolve without a designer. And so to assume that, this complexity of life and solar system you're talking about.
Yeah, I hear you. In fairness, that a shoe is not life. That's a little different.
Yeah, but still,
I mean, but we're talking about something that's a functioning thing that is part of a living organism. That's a mechanical thing that keeps your DNA, or your your bodily process.
I was just talking about this with my wife tonight. Is that the miracle of life, like Anna right now is carrying life. She's carrying this baby in her, and
no pressure.
I know, right?
The moment the sperm and the egg met, immediacy. There was immediacy. Things happened and changed, and started to develop, and it became. There's a template for that thing. There's a reason that when that sperm and the egg come together, it's not a lizard, and that it's not a horse and something else. It's not.
Knock on wood. If this comes out and it's a lizard, I'm blaming
the lizard. Then we're gonna have to talk.
Yeah, we don't want to. You like The Fly too, right? When she had the baby and it was like a fly thing or whatever. Yeah, we don't want to go down that road.
But I mean, as soon as that happens,
that was clearly God's design. The fly.
All that stuff happens, and it gives birth to this creation in a design that it's supposed to be. And the same thing is true for plants and for insects and everything else that recreates itself and builds itself. It's fascinating.
When you get away from, you go further down the food chain, though. It's hard to. Sometimes I'll get wrapped up watching these nature videos, or even and the insects, like insect wars, and you see these things, and everything's eating each other.
Yeah.
And it's so savage. And I look up and I go, really, you couldn't figure out a better way than having these horrifying events where, I was watching one a couple days ago, this freaking giant heron with a long bill comes down, flies down, and just grabs the squirrel. The squirrel's like, and it just slowly starts eating the poor thing alive. you know, and it dips it in the water, and the squirrel like, whoa, you know, and it swallows it whole. And I'm like, you couldn't have found a better way than
But,
this
you know-
horror show for living creatures to be eaten alive. I mean,
that's our universe, though. I mean,
I know,
it's
but it's like,
for us,
I
but
wonder,
what
you know,
they
we
do?
think that we're gonna run into friendly aliens on another planet. It ain't gonna be like that.
No,
They're going to
They'll
eat
be
us.
savage motherfuckers, or whatever they are, whatever incarnation of whatever life.
Hey,
form they
alien,
take.
right?
They're going to be, you know,
Face huggers.
beyond that. I mean, it's something we're not going to be able to imagine. You know, I look at octopuses, for instance. I'm like,
yeah,
they're amazingly intelligent creatures.
oh yeah, They
And
can
there's been
camouflage
speculation that they
themselves.
came here from somewhere else, like a different
yeah.
because they're so different.
They are alien like. Yeah.
What about this Star Trek episode? What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Boy,
this
we
is,
went down the rabbit
This
hole.
is
Oh,
a little
here she
older
is.
Oh,
one
that's
Here's
her.
Ruth.
Yeah, see, she looks better there.
Yeah.
versus that.
It's that hair and that outfit.
Oh, she
it's
looks good there.
it's kind of boxy, you know.
She has
Yeah,
those
yeah,
really
that one-
pronounced
that one's nice.
cheekbones.
It's very photogenic there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was almost like she was an early precursor to injections. Like,
Whoa, hello.
Yeah.
like she had Botox or something.
What the heck? She's sitting in, they're sitting on a Japanese flag. I thought she was sitting in blood, and I was like, that's pretty disgusting.
You know that one picture? She looks like Sammy Davis Jr. That's really weird.
I know, that is really
I
crazy.
know, right?
This
Yeah,
is
she
bad
see,
lighting.
it's just that episode, man, because she looks pretty and so on.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
her older. Yeah, she looks better older, I think.
No, well, actually,
Yeah.
the one below it, she looks a little like Elizabeth Montgomery.
Wait, go to the one in the middle tier, all the way to the left. Yeah.
Got her Marilyn on there, huh?
Graham.
Shirley Bond
Now,
dated.
Graham. Come on now. We're sticking to the faces, Graham.
Look, I'm trying to help my audience here. I have chat
Yeah.
people that I have to, keep happy.
Be
Right, chat?
careful, be careful when you get out of the chair.
We have to finish this debate about which of the unattractive women is the hottest.
The hottest unattractive woman on Star Trek.
They really didn't do her any favors
No, they-
in this
they did
episode.
not do it.
We're learning.
That outfit was horrible. It's real boxy looking. It didn't show her off at all. That hairdo is
Yeah, the
terrible.
one right there in the middle with the long hair. She looks very pretty.
Maybe she was pregnant when they were filming, and that's why. Maybe they're
Oh,
trying to.
yeah.
Shatner got her pregnant.
Yeah, she looks really cute there. Okay, now
She
do the
came
one
in. She
next to it
came
to
in
the
his.
right.
She came in his dressing room, and
Let's see the bathing suit one. There you go.
she
that her?
came in his dressing
Yeah.
room. And I was like, "You're not sitting on the couch, are Aren't you going to sit on the couch?"
Oh my
Ron,
God.
Ron, how long has it been? You haven't changed.
Yeah, right.
15 years.
Ron, how
Like-
can it
I'm like,
possibly be you?
Bill, it's
Oh,
me,
yeah.
Shirley.
Possibly you.
I transitioned or whatever.
Oh my god.
Oh my God, that'd be so funny. Ron, how can it possibly be you?
Bill, it's me, Shirley. I got him by the face. It's me,
Yeah.
Shirley. Look in my eyes, Bill.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
Oh, man. I actually
man.
like this episode, and
I think it's fun.
it's
Phew, thanks for bringing us back, Aaron.
yeah, it's bizarre in the sense that all the elements together don't. It doesn't seem like it would be that great of an episode, but yet I find it incredibly watchable. It's not one I'll avoid. I will watch it if it's on because it's fun, even though there's.
I like the episode too. I would say
It doesn't have scope,
Trelane, the actor,
you know?
is me a little bit, but
It doesn't have the scope you'd like it to have, and maybe that's what Graham's talking about. Budget and everything like that. But there's some great lines in there. You shall hang by the neck until you are dead, dead, dead.
I like how they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
show the shadow of the noose coming.
Yeah, there's some nice stuff in there, and the whole
Yeah.
Orson
opening
Welles
scene,
kind of-
where they're trying to figure out who he is, and then Kirk shoots the mirror and all that kind of stuff.
slaps them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
You got a lot to learn.
Did you challenge me to a duel? If you have the courage.
It always cracks me up at the end where he said when Spock's asking him, how are we going to classify this? We'll say, a god of war. I hardly think that that's necessary. How about a child, and a naughty one at that? And he says, he doesn't understand what he's saying. He says, you remember when you used to play those pranks, Mr. Spock, like dipping a girl's curls in inkwell? It's like, dude, in 1966, nobody did that. There was no inkwells in 1966. I mean, in 23, whatever, there's no freaking inkwells. They wouldn't.
Well, yeah, I know. How would he make that reference? I know, because that's
he was born in 1931, so when he was a little kid, they were probably still doing that.
Well, the actor was born in 1931.
I know.
Future wouldn't even know.
And maybe the writer was too, but I mean, even in 1966, they were using ballpoint pens.
That is a good point, Graham, because even just writing Kit Carter, I'm not trying to get a plug in here, but writing Kit Carter. Right. It's like, it's this futuristic sci-fi thing, right? It's like, you have to be careful what you say, right? Because you're like, they wouldn't be referencing that.
Because it takes you out of the escape. I get it.
Right. Exactly.
However, there are such things, though, that stand the test of time as far as cultural references that are old that you still refer to, like when you say sticks and stones, for instance.
Sure.
I mean, how long has that been used?
Sure.
So I think he's just using it as a sort of colorful reference to what people normally would consider youthful. I don't think he ever experienced that himself, but it probably just stood the test of time.
Well, also,
you're giving a backdoor to bad writing.
Yeah, well, but there's a wait a second here. There's a practical application to this, because you still have to, you couldn't just make up something that the audience had no reference for, because they wouldn't get the joke.
No, but I actually right here, Lynn Green says her school had the desk with the whole thing. So did mine. My desk in school had the inkwell things.
Yeah.
Well, I remember.
That's just because they were too cheap to buy new desks
for
every classroom.
But it still would create you, as a kid, you would wonder what they were for, and you would be told that was for ink at one point. So those things still stood the test of time. I mean,
if you went to a 15-year-old today and asked him about an inkwell,
you're the reason, Graham, that these new shows suck so bad. Because you want to suck out all those cool little things.
No. I just think that they could have given a better example of, how about pulling a puppy dog's tail or something. That would be something that kids would do, or that would transcend time.
I think it's all in the same sort of thing from the bag, the grab bag of cultural reference. I mean, I don't think it's any different. I mean, what's the pocket full of posy, all that stuff.
Referring to the plague.
Right. Yeah. I just think, anyway. As for dipping girls' pigtails. Dodgeball. Yeah, dodgeball. So anyway.
Dodgeball.
Don't you remember we used to hit the girl, Spock? Don't you remember you used to play dodgeball and the girl would be hiding against the back wall and you just target her on purpose just to take
and now these kids nowadays are going to be like, well, come on, Spock. Don't you remember when you would swipe right and you'd hit that shit?
You picked the wrong girl for Pon Farm.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it would be now in this porn addicted culture we're in.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. But I mean, let's get to the real important part of this episode, which was the first appearance of Lieutenant DeSalle.
Yes,
who with that grimace, and the guy was completely humorless, and I loved him. He was especially in Cat's Paw, which we haven't gotten to yet. But he plays a big role in that, and he's one of those.
He wasn't around much, was he? It was only
3 episodes, right?
3 episodes. Yeah,
he was a character that I wish they'd have used more.
He almost looks like he would have been a captain on.
Yes, right. Yeah, he had that kind of.
He had a masculine look to him. He didn't look like he'd be a subordinate type.
I'll bet dollars to Navy beans.
Yeah, but more. Yeah, he would be more like the captain of the ship on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or whatever.
Oh.
Something like that, He had that 60s sort of masculine, post-World War II maleness about him.
Right.
So, yeah, I know what you mean.
But he was big and he was stoic and he was pissed off all the time. And I just loved it. I thought this guy, that's the guy you want to leave in command when Kirk isn't there. No nonsense.
You tell him, Aaron.
I love
what was the episode where he said the Navy beans and stuff? Was that the
was
one
in
with the
Cat's
follow?
Paw.
Was it Cat's Paw?
Because they had that force field surrounding the,
Yeah.
And he's like, we may not be able to blast through it, but I'll bet credits to Navy beans. We can put a dent in it.
God.
And isn't he like busting on Chekhov's balls?
Oh my gosh. He's busting his balls.
Oh yeah. He's really busting them.
He goes, you go and do this, or do you need me to do it for you? And Chekhov's like, I can do it, sir.
Chekhov always looked so like, he looked that haircut and everything. He just never looked. There was not an ounce of masculinity in the kids.
Well, that was all based. They
Comic
wanted to tap into the popularity of the monkeys.
Yeah.
When they got him in there, his hair was too short, so they had to get that wig and give him like a 60s.
He looked like he wouldn't have even had pubic hair yet.
Yeah. There's that great, I can't remember which episode it is, but he's looking in Spock's viewfinder and the blue lights flashing in his face and he's sweating and goes, "We're burning up." I can't remember what episode it was, but it was just like with that wig on and everything.
You ever see when they're on stage and Shatner forgets Walter Koenig's name?
Did he really? Oh.
Shatner's introducing all of them they're on stage somewhere, and Shatner's introducing them all. I think they opened up some sort of attraction, and so all the actors were invited. And Shatner's like, "Hey, here's Leonard Nimoy, and here's Nicole."
Now.
And then he gets to Walter Koenig, and he goes, "And here's the guy who played Mr. Chekhov." And Koenig goes, "Walter Koenig." Yeah, thank you.
Oh my God, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, she's pretty.
Look at how popular that polka dot bikini
was. The same one. Who was the one? Polemus from the Who Mourns for Adonis.
That's not her. No.
Who's the one from Who Mourns for? Yeah, right. Yeah, she had
her name was.
So that pug nose a little bit too.
Yeah, I didn't like her.
Which episode is that one? I'm trying to remember.
This one here.
This is from our episode.
This is from.
Oh, she was in that. Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's the girl that goes down. It was
goes down on who, Graham?
I know. I heard
Who does she go down on?
She goes down on the landing party.
She does the whole landing party.
And Trelane.
Well, she is in Playboy after all, so
yeah. In the
wasn't one of the Mud's women in Playboy as well?
Yeah, the dark-haired one, wasn't it?
That looked like you.
No, it was the blonde. It was the fake blonde that was the Playboy or something on Mud's Women.
Oh, okay.
There's a couple Playboy models in Star Trek.
That's what as a kid and a young adult, I always wondered where this sort of idea that these girls would do like Playboy or porn, and that would somehow catapult them into actual acting.
The only porn actress was the chick from Triskelion.
Right. But you see stuff like this, like back in the early days of Playboy, where it actually was a thing. They were on the cover of Playboy, and suddenly they're being in TV shows. So there was a connection at one point that I think kind of got lost when the 70s and 80s rolled around. But there was still that mindset, it seemed like. It's like these girls cosplaying, Anna, you can vouch for this, at like these big cons, like expecting somehow to be discovered as models or something. And I'm sure
they end up just blending.
Don't forget, too, Playboy magazine in the 50s and 60s was a very different magazine than what it eventually became.
Right.
Some of the finest writers in the world wrote articles and short stories and stuff for.
Were you one of the guys that was
here's
for the articles?
They use that to justify.
Graham read it for the articles. That's great.
That always annoyed me a bit. Why could because it's like it's just using it to justify to legitimize the
porn
aspect of the magazine. I mean, to me, it's like you can't get away with that with me. I mean, it's just like, look, you want to put out a magazine that's that's got great. Then put out a magazine that's focused on just that, but don't lure people in with their greatest weakness, which for males is women. I mean, the sexuality of women. It's men's, and I really feel like
Well, that's what
one of
it
the
was
major
supposed to
reasons
be.
it's contributed to the downfall of American culture is that. I'm not a prude or anything like that, at all.
You're
but
coming off as one.
that's just my belief. It's my observation. I think once that started down that road, once you draw lines in the sand, and you keep stepping over them, then you just have decay. I mean, you have to have some place in society where you draw the line in the sand and you don't allow society to cross over it. If you keep making concessions, then what you have is entropy, so that's my opinion of it. I'm not a prude. I may come across as one, but too bad. That's my opinion.
Well, I am a prude and I agree with you. So there you go.
Yeah, you prude.
Watch your language.
I'm opinionated. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah. Well, I think we're all fit into that category. Anna's just saving it. She's about ready to blast us. Like, you can't take much more of this crap.
Well, we go from like black holes in the universe and the concept of it to Playboy and porn.
Well, black holes in porn. I mean,
Yeah, it's just a black hole. I can see the transition here very easily.
Exactly.
We've talked about the Star Trek episode for maybe 5 minutes.
It's the,
to be honest, there's not a lot in this episode.
It's the Garney effect.
Conversation.
The Garney effect.
It's the Garney effect. That's what happens when
I'm ruining the show, is what you're saying.
I'm saying you're taking
us. Is entropy.
Yeah,
I am entropy. I am entropy. I am decay.
I am the black hole of all things. Not even light can escape me.
Yeah. Morals cannot escape my.
I will say this though, and Ron, you pointed this out that you liked the ending. I felt the ending with the parent thing. Wasn't that just Charlie X? Or am I mistaken?
Kind of.
Well, similar, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like,
Yeah,
I feel like
that's true. Yeah,
Twilight Zone-esque though.
You what, Anna?
Ron said in the beginning this was more like the Twilight Zone version of it, where Charlie X, it was just because we knew what was going on, whereas in this episode it's like the twist at the end that he's a child.
Right.
Yeah, right,
So,
exactly.
it's a little different.
I do agree. There's a bit of a tonality a change in this. When they, like you said, he turns into the manhunt at the end. It seems very different from where we started at in the episode. So I don't think it's a great episode, but I do find it an enjoyable episode. So I'm kind of torn with this one.
The ending, I think where the similarity is in the ending is they always have the being dissipate and keep repeating the same line over again.
Yeah. Charlie X,
I would.
Spotlight shrinking on him.
Yeah.
Shrinking on
The
him,
Wizard of Oz. I'm melting.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he just disappears.
And with Apollo, it's like, take me.
Yeah.
Me.
They need to show off those special effects guys.
And what and Charlie X, what was how did he end it? He was don't let them take me, don't let them take me. And then he repeats something.
I want to go home.
I don't want to go.
I want to stay.
I want to stay.
Yeah.
I want to stay.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if it's, I mean, I don't know that it's happened so much in that series, you could call it a trope, but I mean, to me, that's kind of like how do you, when you get us, this is the problem when you have like really super powerful villains or super powerful heroes.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you vanquish them? How do you overcome them? And so what do? Well, he's got a couple of parents who are more rational than he is, so they take him away at the end, so he can't do any more damage. It's like a quick fix to what should have been a more complex problem. But again, it's an hour television show, and
sure.
Yeah, I get that, but I just felt like maybe they used
the aliens. The alien parents come across as Beaver Cleaver's parents.
Right?
They don't seem alien at all. Stop with your nonsense. You
Well,
know,
because it's Jane Wyatt, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
it's Barbara Babcock and James Doohan. You know, but
Oh, yeah, that surprised me when you said that. I didn't know that.
yeah,
That was him.
yeah,
No Trelane. Like
yeah.
it's hard to believe that's his voice.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I know he takes the Scottish accent out, and
Well, wasn't he a radio voice or something before post World War II or something? He was on the radio.
I don't know. He could.
Yeah, he did radio voiceovers.
Yeah, in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You know, he got his fingers shot off, right?
Yeah. You can spot it here and there.
Yeah.
In that show.
I did not know that until I ran into Adam Hughes, and we were at a toy booth. It was actually kind of funny. They had Star Trek toys in there, and me and my son are looking around, and I bump right into Adam's there. And he starts explaining to me. He goes, "Look at this Scotty doll." He goes, "It's missing the finger, just like he is." And then I go like, "Scotty's missing a finger?" And he goes, "You didn't know that?" And he goes and explains the whole thing to me, and how you'd see Scotty would always have his hand balled up.
Yeah,
he was missing that finger. And so I think there's only like one episode where you can see it for a second that he's missing.
I'll get the photo.
Yeah, there you go.
Anna's on it.
But it just cracked me up because Adam's really into this stuff as well. He'd be perfect on this show because he's like totally into the minutia, of it, and not just like the big picture, but the minutia stuff. And but he was just going off on how great this action figure of Scotty was because they'd taken the finger and removed it and all that stuff. So
look at with the dribble. It's right there. It's no finger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There it is. See?
Can you blow that up?
Yeah.
I beamed them over to the.
Let me try it again.
Beamed them over to the Klingon ship where there'll be no tribbles at all.
Here we go. One moment though. There we go.
Well, you'll probably be able to see it when has that bottle of booze up to his face, and he's like,
"Oh yeah, there it is."
And then
there's another one too where you see it.
Look at that. That's crazy.
Look at that.
Right here.
There it is. Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
I love that scene in this.
Oh yeah.
I like
what is it?
What is it? It's green.
It's green.
Yeah, he does a good job of hiding it.
Yeah.
But right there.
It was fun meeting him. I think I told you the story when I did that convention and he came walking out. I auditioned it for the role of Kirk. Remember I told you that?
No.
You auditioned for Kirk?
I didn't tell you this story?
I don't
know.
No.
I went to a
Can you try to tell William Shatner this story?
No, I didn't have, well, God didn't give me any room to say anything, but so I went to a Star Trek convention back in like 87, I think, or 88. And they had an audition for the roles. They had a Trouble with Tribbles original script from the show, the actual script. And were holding auditions to play a bunch of the characters. And I auditioned for the role of Kirk and I won the audition.
Okay.
So we had to put on this whole play on stage from the Trouble with Tribbles script. And it was on the bridge and we went through all the lines and stuff. And then I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was like I did the lines and then I was supposed to be talking to Scotty and I realized he wasn't there. But then his voice came over the loudspeaker. And I didn't even know. It was a surprise to everybody. And James Doohan came walking out and I got to finish the scene with him, with the real James Doohan.
Oh, how cool is that?
And I was sitting in the captain's chair. And even where he says, and he repeats the line and goes, "Oh, I sent them to the Klingons." And I was like, "You sent them to the Klingons?" Like that. And then he's like, "Yes." And he says, "Well, there'll be no trouble at all." And everybody's laughing. And I even smacked him in the stomach the way And he looks out at the audience and he goes, "There's one in every crowd." Because I whacked him really hard. I was like, "Whack."
That's great.
Were you working in the industry at that point, or
no? It was a couple of years before I got in. I was a bartender.
You were just there as a fan?
Yeah, just as a fan. I went and I auditioned. I happened to win the audition, which was cool. It was like 12 people auditioning. and I got the audition. And
So when you did your audition, did you like try to emulate Shatner?
yeah, oh yeah, I was acting like him. I was doing, I even walked in because they didn't have the doors. I even made the sound of the door when I walked in. I sat down in the chair, and I was trying to act like Shatner, and I was even like my posture was even like him. Like I had a little bit of a belly. People were laughing because they could see me trying to, imitate him. But it was great. I have pictures of it somewhere. I'll have to show you the pictures.
Yeah, you got to dig those up.
Yeah, I'll dig those
That'd
up.
be great if somebody
Put
had
'em up on another
videotaped
show.
that.
Hold on, I might have them right here. Hold on 1 second. Let's see.
I'm surprised someone didn't videotape that because it would have, that would have been great.
Yeah, I looked for it on YouTube, but it was 87. And they didn't really have.
I had to say, were videotapes around back then?
Yes, Anna. Jeez.
Anna acts like I'm from 1930 or something.
Yeah, we had a 16 millimeter camera and had a hand crank.
Ron did dip little girls' curls in inkwells.
I did.
That's why he's defending that so much.
Other hairy parts too.
Oh no! Here we go.
Okay. See,
just kidding.
Not a prude.
Just kidding. Not a prude.
It's okay when he does it, but when Playboy does it, it's the end of society.
Yeah, I think I have it in a scrapbook somewhere, but I don't know where that scrapbook is. But I'll find it and I'll bring it.
Fish that out for next week.
Maybe next week, or save it for our Trouble of Tribbles episode.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll see if I can find it. I know I have it.
Oh, if we could get a recording.
They're small. He shows me. It's from the audience, so somebody took them. But you see me on stage, and when James Doohan comes walking out, I'm like, "Holy shit!"
No shit.
It's Scotty.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was like,
I saw him at a Comic-Con, a New York Comic-Con, when Wrath of Khan came out. He was there to promote it, and they showed the trailer for it for the first time. I was at the Kubert School, and a bunch of us went into the city, and he was there. So I got to see him on stage and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's funny as I'm recalling it now. Somebody in the audience asked him about Shatner, and they said, "Is he really as much of a jerk as people say?" And he's like, "Well," he goes, "let's put it this way: he's the star of the show, and he knows it."
Humble answer.
Cut to me 40 years later.
Yeah.
Well, he was very nice to me, so.
I have to tell you though, like all the anecdotes from actors,
Santa.
The anecdotes from other actors that were guest stars and stuff on the show, couldn't say enough about Shatner, about how warm he was and welcoming and helpful he was, and even the co-stars had so much good things to say at the time. And then later on in life, I think when the movies came out, I saw an interview one time where Shatner was interviewing with Nimoy, and they both agreed that, when the show was on in 1966 to 1969, those two guys, Shatner was the star. He was the engine that drove the show. Everybody else was in support, and some people were in less support. But they had maybe they were on set for a couple hours, but after 30 years of reruns, people get to see these characters, fall in love with these characters, and the actors begin to think that they were a bigger part of the show than they were. And when the movies came about, they felt, that they were a bigger part than they were, and so I think that got in the way of their perceptions of, like, when Shatner would, they say, take lines away from them, but it kept the focus on the show itself when Kirk was delivering the lines, as opposed to now later on, like by the third season, when Kirk is telling the geologist something about geology he doesn't know, or he's telling Dr. McCoy or the doctor about medicine he doesn't know, that's too much. That's crazy. That goes against their characters. But I think that Shatner kept that show on point and on focus without it derailing. And a lot of people really liked him. So, I mean, nobody in here said that they got.
Look, man, we're all human beings. I'm sure he's got his good points too. I just
Ron never didn't see
You
him.
just didn't get to see him.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, honestly, again, I always look at things from different angles. I mean, I'm not so, I don't know what the word is, but I'm not so, I have awareness of different things. Like, I think, like I said, I think he's old and he wasn't prepared for me to be there. And it wasn't, the promoters should have told him, it was just
Absolutely.
Maybe
blindside.
they were looking for forgiveness
So,
instead of
and
permission.
unfortunately, for me, I was the recipient of his discomfort.
Right.
Under other circumstances, it might not have happened that way. What'd you say, Anna? Would that
If they were
shit
looking,
grin on your
no,
face?
no, because if they would have asked him, he could have said no. So they were looking for forgiveness, not for permission.
If they asked him, he could have said no.
Right.
Yeah.
If they said, "Hey, can we bring Ron Garney in there?" He could have said no, and that
Well,
would
that
have
would
been
have been fine. I'd understand. I
Right.
wouldn't care.
Well, I think that's
Well,
why
you want
they
to
didn't,
know what? Sorry, go ahead.
I think that's what they did. I think they just didn't tell him, and they were just hoping for, let's ask his forgiveness instead of his permission.
Oh, I see okay. Now
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
And
the
that did not
reason
work in your favor.
it didn't work in my favor. I was the recipient of his wrath over it. The reason I even asked or thought it was a possibility was because I know Jim Lee did, and I don't know how that went for Jim Lee, but it was probably something more formal. This was so ridiculously, like, he was in the back, isolated by himself in a little cubicle. He might as well have been on the moon in a little thing, And then I come walking in, and then the way the event guy tore out of there, and I'm just standing there with the guy.
Yeah. Well,
It's really funny.
He could have given you a better introduction too. He could have said, "Mr. Shatner, this is Mr. Garney. He's a guest of the show too. We're bringing him back here because as part of our agreement, he wanted to meet."
Well,
you.
in fairness, the event guy, he tried, but Shatner just was interrupting me. And he stood up and he was pointing at me like this, not even looking at me. He's like, "Who? Who is this?" He was like, the event guy got all nervous, kind of like the same reaction that the guy on the radio had when he was doing that commercial, and Shatner.
Oh, you disgust me.
He had that meltdown. They asked him to redo it.
Yeah.
Shatner's like, "No, I'm going to do it." And then the guy.
Are you like a scary, imposing guy in person or something?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
mean, Shatner's not the biggest guy.
I'm 220. I'm tall. My wife thinks I am. She says I make people.
Were you scowling when you came into the room? Or were you smiling?
Just me. I'm like, I'm just myself.
I'm gonna make you big on the screen. Give us your look. Show us
What
that
look
look
did you
when
give
you
Shatner?
walked in. Hello, Mr. Shatner. Mr. Shatner, this
That's
is Ron Garney.
it's funny because that is my normal look. I usually am like this, not because I'm scowling. It's just my look, So I think I've noticed people look at me and I think this is why my wife says I look like I'm going to kick somebody's ass or something, and I'm not. That's not what's going on in my head. I told you the story before about my neighbors. And I didn't realize this until this thing happened with my neighbors as they were driving by, and I smiled. What I thought was in my head, I was smiling. I smiled, right? And then I saw the guy looked at me and he went like that. And I was like, "Well, fuck you," So
He had a big smile when I met him.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, sure he did.
Wait a minute. Is that plexiglass between you?
Yeah, it was still during COVID and whatnot. And I'm like, he's 93. I don't want to accidentally kill Captain Kirk. So they said they would give us a refund, but I was like, no, I'll just Photoshop it later. But look at that big smile.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, did you see that, Ron? Did you see that smile?
I'm sure if I put on boobs and
and a little midriff there, you might have got a smile on him.
So anyway, when my neighbor acted that way, I was like, "What the hell?" So I went in the mirror, and I looked at myself, and I realized when I smile, it looks like I'm being sarcastic. So when I smile, it looks like I'm going. But in my head, I'm really smiling. I'm like, hey, how you doing? But it looks like I'm being like, what the fuck you looking at, kind of a thing. And then I realize, I'm like, yeah, exactly. And I realize that's why people, because I noticed before that people were looking at me funny when I smile at them. Like, why does everybody give me dirty looks when I'm just being friendly?
It's because you're giving that Robert De Niro look. That
Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
Well, admittedly, when I first met you, it took me a while to figure you out, to figure out what I was getting from you. So I was like,
there you go. See, it's the first impressions. I've noticed that, like, people's demeanor towards me changes, sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. Like, they meet me for the first time and they act a certain way, and then as time goes on, they act differently. And I do think it's that. I think it's like there's something about my face that, who knows. But, so now when I smile, I'm like this.
Hey, how are you doing, neighbor?
Yeah, just to get the point across.
Oh my God.
Daryl is so right in the chat. That is the biggest missed opportunity. I should have done the Spock death scene.
Oh,
the
glass.
plastic.
Oh,
Yes.
He probably would have done it too.
oh my God, that would have been
You would have
great.
done it, and then he would have went like this towards your hand, then he would have went right to your boob.
Oh my God.
Shatner can't do this. You know that?
Yeah, he can't. He
Yeah.
just put his hand on it. I would have just done it.
I
They
go
have to
left or
wire
right.
his fingers together.
Oh,
Yeah, he can't do it.
I can move each ear independently.
No
Oh,
way.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see that.
Hold on. I'm going to put you on solo layout.
Oh, I can see it.
All right, go ahead. Oh, yeah, I see a little bit.
I don't know how.
I don't see that one.
Only my daughter can do it.
Have you seen the videos of like the babies when they're laying there and you put like a Q-tip like it's going across their face to go in their ear and the ear will fold over?
No.
No.
It's really cool. I'll find a video for you.
You can take me off now, Graham.
Oh, yeah. Well, wait. Stealth.
Let's just do a whole show like this with your voice.
Stealth X5 for $2 says, hello, I want to see more of Ron.
That's it. Yeah,
I'm all yours, baby.
For $2, he's all
For
yours.
$2, you can have all of this.
Wait a minute. You're a Wookiee.
I am a Wookiee. Oh, yeah. Come on, Andy. Take a good look.
Look at that.
Well, at least that midsection looks better than mine right now, so I'll give you that. I sent my daughter and her friend, and they were in high school. My daughter's cute, and her friend was really cute, and they were standing up to get Shatner's autograph because I wasn't going to wait in line for his autograph. And she said they walked up there, and he was like, rah, 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 rah. And as soon as he saw them, he was like, well, hello, ladies.
He is Captain Kirk.
Well, have you ever seen, like, if you can find on YouTube, like, a lot of
Okay, watch the baby's ear.
What?
No.
Get out of here.
I'm gonna try it with mine.
Fake.
I'm gonna try it with mine. I'm gonna see.
That's not.
That's
no
not
way.
No.
It's a thing.
That's like
Anna, don't believe
CGI.
anything
Graham, next time you have your granddaughter try it.
All right, I
I'm
will.
gonna try that when we go
Just
see
waking her up from her nap to do that.
So
I'm
I'm
not
gonna say,
willing
if
to
you
do
look
that.
at the old YouTube videos of Shatner from, like, he was on like these game shows, like To Tell the Truth, or in
Yep.
black and white and things like that. He really does think he's this Mr. Charmer,
Yeah.
the way he talks, and he's like, and then as he's getting older, he does Bowling with the Stars, and it's in the 70s, and he comes across as completely the opposite.
Remember Battle of the Network Stars?
Or maybe that's what it was.
Oh,
And he's bowling.
Yeah.
And he goes out there to bowl, and he tries to do it all suave like he would do, and he freaking gutter balls each one. So he wasn't a good bowler at all.
But he was also on Circus of the Stars. You can look this one up, and he does. He did karate and stuff. So they have all these like plank boards, and he gets up there and he goes, yeah, and he busts the board. And then they put another one. They make it. It's like 4 or 5 boards, and he finally busts. And they lit one. They poured the shit on it and lit it all up. And then he busts through it, and like his sleeve catches on fire. And he had to get it off. I don't know if he got burned or anything, but it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, in fairness, those boards are made out of like balsa wood.
Yeah. Even if
My
they're
son did it when he was in Taekwondo.
Yeah.
Split. And then the sensei, you can see like he takes it when he hits it, he goes like that with his wrist to snap it.
Yeah.
It's a good way to
Extra
get the
tension
parents
into
to think, oh, my son, my kids are.
He's a badass.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
shell game. Look at that. Yeah.
All right, let's give a rating to this one, guys. Aaron?
Like I said, I don't think it's a good episode from a lot of different angles, and yet I do enjoy it. So I'm kind of torn. I'm going to go 7.5.
Ooh, okay.
7.5.
Yeah. Ronald?
Seven. I'm not a fan of the actor who plays Trelane. He annoys me a bit.
Okay.
I like pretty much.
What about when
everything.
he's a Klingon?
That's part of the reason that annoys me too.
No,
He's too much of a,
I thought his personality
Wiki.
fit Trelane well. He was terrible as a Klingon.
Yeah, I know.
Klingon.
It's just something about him.
Klingon.
But that's just a personal bias. It's not really doesn't take anything away from the the legitimacy of whether it was good or not.
Right. Okay. So what'd you say, Ron?
7.
7. Okay. Anna?
Say a 6. Because he does annoy me.
I think I'm
There's
over
always
Anna on this.
something with
I'm
him.
going to give this a 6. Better than average, but yeah, I think a 6.
It might be my DeSalle.
I could go down to that too, probably.
Well, I could be anywhere from a 5 to an 8 on this one, but it's DeSalle that pushes me over the
Sal
top.
pushes you over. Okay.
Yeah, I like DeSalle. He's a man of action.
Aaron's phaser's on stunning over to Sal.
Oh, I love that man.
That means
I
French.
think, hey, Aaron, if you're interested, I think there's an old issue of Playgirl magazine he's in.
As long as he's barking orders, I'll take
That's
it.
right.
Why do you know that, Ron?
I don't. Anna, it's a joke.
These are the jokes, people.
Anna and the King of Siam. And this is Anna and
This
the
is a
Queen.
reverse video.
Well, that's not the only video I've seen of it. So
You're getting.
Well, if you've seen it on the internet, it has to be true.
What video?
The one we just watched with the ear.
Oh,
Yeah.
like it's on a coral reef.
I'm gonna try it on my kid
Hey,
once.
I want to see it live. You need to do it live, like
Yeah.
when they opened up Al Capone's vault, so we can see if it actually.
I remember that.
You know how much I've had to show live.
That was the biggest career ender ever.
Oh,
It
you're
was a 3-hour special, and then they open up.
my
There's
God, what a
nothing
waste
there.
Nothing in
People's
there.
lives for hours.
He put his whole set of all his chips into that.
At least break open into it and then reclose it if you're gonna, pretend you're opening it for the first time, so you don't.
And put something in it.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
I'll give him points for some journalistic integrity that he didn't do that, but still, it was
For a TV event.
It was a freaking like a liquor bottle or something in there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That was
Yeah.
it.
All right, gang.
Then he ran off screen.
Next week we have Arena, and we get to meet the Gorn. So
Gorn.
The Garn.
the
Yes,
Garn.
my first 10 episode,
Yes.
perhaps.
Oh, and we get to also meet another godlike character in the Metrones. So we'll be talking about that next Wednesday.
Yeah, the Metrones look like the opening of the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. only more masculine.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just testosterone dripping off those Metrones.
Yeah. Compared to
Even the way they're standing, like he's standing all with his legs together, like
Yeah.
She looks like a ballerina.
Yeah.
well, it's a woman.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
That wasn't a guy.
I thought it was a dude. A little.
The voice sounds.
Yeah, well, the voice is somebody else. They're doing a voiceover.
Well,
But,
again, more to
it's
my
a
point.
woman. because they love to do that androgynous stuff, like the keeper in The Cage with the big head. Those were women too.
That I know.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. You ruined the captain's log for next week's episode. You already told them.
I can't keep my mouth shut.
Captain Dunsel strikes again.
Captain Dunsel.
Regards to Captain Dunsel.
Oh.
I think that should be the name of your band. Regards to
Captain
Dunsel.
Captain Dunsel.
Just Dunsel.
Well, before we
That's
go,
actually not a bad idea.
I have to ask you guys, what do you guys think about Robert Downey Jr. playing Doom? Or Dr. Doom, I should say.
No different than Chris Evans playing Torch and Cap, I guess.
Yeah. I think they're tying it in to Tony Stark though, because this is multiverse type stuff, and there is stories. I mean, I drew one for the What If. It was.
Yeah, are you excited about that big paycheck?
Yeah, it would make sense if there's some story reason for it. I hope
couch money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Downey Jr. fan, so I figured whatever he does, he's probably going to pull it off. But
it'd be good to see him play something evil. It's a good counterpoint to being the hero of the whole Marvel universe, basically.
See, he should play the Black Panther, but play him as that character in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
So an Australian white guy pretending to be a black guy.
You never go full retard.
Pretending to be a dude playing another dude.
You went full retard.
Yeah, never go full retard.
Yeah. Well, I agree with these guys. If they tie it in somehow where he's probably Tony Stark is Dr. Doom and this other, then it would make sense. Otherwise, it's kind of it'll be strange because can we accept him?
Yeah, they must have a plan for that. I can't believe they would just insert him in that role for some.
Yeah, there's a Tony Stark tie into this thing. There has to be.
Yeah. And those guys that are doing it, the two brothers, they're the best Marvel filmmakers.
And maybe Victor Von Doom is just a name that he used as an alias or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I like the way the Galactus looking in the window at the end of that FF trailer.
I got to watch that. I still haven't seen that.
Yeah. Is that online now? Because I saw somebody filmed it from San Diego, from Paul Lake.
So. I think I saw it on.
Okay. What I saw from the phone shot looked actually.
Well, it was an unfinished version of it. Like it's
okay.
They haven't finished the effects, but they shows them looking in Reed's head, Reed's lab or something.
I thought when they did the dating game thing, and you say Bachelor number 3, and you see the 3 bachelors silhouetted, and you see the thing sitting there, looked so cool because you could see the brow. I mean, it looked like the Kirby thing.
Yeah, I hope they do that one right this time.
Yeah, they have not got the thing right yet.
I hated the suit that the dude wore. It was just.
I don't have high hopes for it. So
all they have to do is do the Kirby version or the John Byrne version.
Right.
Those two. I liked Byrne's version a little more because it was just like this precipice that came across.
Yeah,
that was really cool looking.
But I hate teeth. I hate when people draw teeth on the thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it should just be. Yeah,
it should just be the rocks. I really dislike that look. But this is
also they got a young kid playing. It's weird. I'm at the age now where all these actors are young, so it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. Because to me, Ben Grimm isn't a kid.
Right?
All these actors are very young. Like for me, Pedro Pascal isn't Reed Richards either. I think he would have been a better.
He's terrible.
Yeah, just to
I don't
shave
like
the mustache off, dude.
Either.
Hey, everybody, Billy is here. Good seeing you in San
dude?
Diego, Aaron and Ron. We missed you, Anna. You're sitting on the couch. Hashtag Spock. Oh, you missed Anna, but you didn't miss me, Billy. Damn you!
You never go.
That's true. I've been back since 2014.
I'm like every year. It was weird.
For me, it was. Well, I went a couple of years ago, but it was 2004 before that. And a couple of years ago, I only flew in for a day and then back out. This time, I was there for 2 days.
And you didn't bother to see Aaron?
Yeah, what's funny is I actually thought about it, though. I really did. I was like, I should see if I can find Aaron. But you didn't invite me to sit at your table last time we were on the show, so I said,
Yeah, I did. I said, come by. You can sit. You can go crash anytime you want to get away from the crowd. Come by.
He did
40
say
minutes.
that. He
I
did
did.
say that.
you did.
I didn't say I'd share my table with you. I just said you could come and crash.
No, I see. That was my point. I said I would share the expense of the table if I could sit there and draw, and you blew that off. So I never, so
It's true. I did because I had too much stuff. I couldn't have done it. But I invited
it's okay, dude. I totally am kidding. It's totally
I invited you to join me though, and just kind of hang.
No, I would have loved to. I just didn't. I thought about it for a second, but then that place is just distraction.
Yeah.
Just
Then
distraction.
Keanu Reeves said to him, "Let's go grab a bite," and Ron said, "Okay."
What are you trying to say, Graham?
You're Star Trek.
No, I'm not.
That's what I'm saying.
Actually, I had a conversation with him about that at dinner.
Oh, how so?
I told him, I said, I don't give a shit about your movie stardom.
What brought that up?
Well, honestly,
Was he trying to pull some movie star shit on you?
no, not at all.
Oh.
He's actually a really cool guy. We were talking about, well, it was rather a personal conversation, so I won't get into
Yeah, that's fine. All right, gang. We're going to see you next Wednesday for the arena. Thanks, everybody in the chat, for tuning in. We really appreciate you, and we will see you then. Have a good one. Bye.